Good morning. One quiet evening, as I walked through the cobbled streets of Königsberg, a situation arose that tested not only my patience, but also the very essence of my philosophy. I had been wronged, or so it appeared at the moment. A fellow scholar had spoken harshly of my recent work, dismissing it with a flippancy that ignited within me an intense surge of anger. The heat of the moment clouded my thoughts, and for a brief instant, I was tempted to respond with equal force, to lash out in defense of my reputation. Yet, as I stood there, on the verge of reacting impulsively, a voice within me, one that I had trained to listen to, paused me. This voice was not that of mere emotion, nor of the fleeting desire for immediate gratification. No, it was the voice of reason, guided by the principles of universal morality that I had long espoused. It asked me a simple yet profound question. Will I act according to my emotional impulses, or will I act according to reason? In this moment of clarity, I recalled my fundamental belief. Reason should always guide action, not the transient stirrings of feeling. If we yield to our emotions, we fall prey to their fleeting nature, and in doing so, we risk acting in ways that undermine our dignity and our moral obligations. Step 1. Stop and acknowledge your feeling. I halted my thoughts and took a deep breath. The first step in achieving moral clarity is to stop, not to act immediately upon the emotions we feel, but to create a space between the feeling and the action. By pausing, we grant ourselves the time necessary to reflect on whether our response will align with the principles of reason. Emotions are natural, and they arise without forewarning. Anger, joy, sadness. These are all part of our experience. However, while emotions are immediate and forceful, they are not always aligned with our moral duty. The first step, then, is to recognize the feeling for what it is, a temporary and often misleading guide. Step 2. Question the impulse. Once I had acknowledged my anger, I asked myself a second, critical question. Would I still act this way if I could step back and view the situation from a rational, detached perspective? This is the essence of my belief. Our actions must be governed by principles that are universally applicable, not by the whims of our transient emotions. The immediate desire for retaliation was tempting, yes. But if I were to universalize this impulse, if every scholar, every human being, acted purely from their anger in response to insult, the fabric of society itself would unravel. Such actions would lead to chaos, for no meaningful dialogue or progress could ever occur in a world governed by the tyranny of emotion. I realized that if I allowed my feelings to dictate my actions, I would not only be harming myself, but also contributing to a system where reason was subordinated to impulse. My actions, then, had to be guided by reason and a sense of justice, not by the desire for vengeance or immediate satisfaction. Step 3. Act according to reason. Finally, once I had separated myself from my emotions and evaluated the situation from the perspective of universal reason, I was able to act in a way that was consistent with my ethical beliefs. Rather than retaliating, I responded with calmness and clarity, addressing the scholar's criticism thoughtfully and with the intent to engage in a meaningful discourse. My actions were no longer reactive, but reflective, rooted in the desire for truth and mutual respect. This, then, is the proper course of action when faced with intense emotion. We must allow reason, not feeling, to guide us. The ability to detach ourselves from the immediate impulses of anger, fear, or desire is not only a matter of self-control, but a moral imperative. When we act in accordance with reason, we contribute to the creation of a better world, a world where actions are guided by universal principles of justice and respect for others.